Hey everybody, this is herculespetix, founder, curator, docent, and gift shop employee of the herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies. Today we're going to be looking at Fear and Laughter, a really nice underground from 1977. This was put out by Kitchen Sink Enterprises. I've never seen them do this in their logo. Their motto is, like money down the drain. I thought that was cute. And this is for savage adults only. And this is a comic that's basically an homage or a celebration of Hunter S. Thompson. Of course, in this comic, he's named Hunter S. Toxin. I guess they didn't want to get sued. I don't think they had permission. And also features the brown buffalo, his lawyer, and bad craziness. Lots of bad craziness in this. But look at this beautiful cover, guys, by William Stout. You've probably heard me extol his virtues a little too much on this channel. God, I love this guy. Everything he does is just perfect. I kind of assume he did all this too. Just such a well-designed cover. I saw this a year ago on, I think, Comics Joint. Tiny little thumbnail, and just seeing the tiny thumbnail, I was like, I have to have this. And I also saw the contributors, knowing that William M. Stout has a story in here. I was searching for this for like a year or two. I would have searched for it longer. I just didn't know it existed. But man, look at this. Just beautiful shit. So good. We have an inside front cover. Well, it's two artists. So we have this kind of border by Scott Shaw, who is the editor of this whole this whole Megillah. I think it was his idea to get all these artists to do comics about, or at least slightly related to Hunter S. Thompson. But then we have this interior drawing by a young Rick Geary. So this is like pretty much, I think Rick Geary this time was just doing mini comics. Kill the body and the head will die. Kind of cool. So we start off with a William Stout story. I guess Scott Shaw helped him with the dialogue on this, or maybe did all the dialogue. And also it does mention that Bill Wray, the great cartoonist, who went on to do Ren and Stimpy cartoons, did Big Blown Baby and Hellboy Jr. He helped ink this. He did an inking assist. But mostly it's William Stout. And we see our main character, Hunter S. Toxin. It's basically like, this is obviously Hunter S. Thompson, but like pushed to cartoony limits. Where he's just got like a giant jar of LSD near his bed, nitrous oxide, wild turkey, just complete decadence. I love his alarm clock, like anthropomorphizes, jumping up and down. Just so many great little touches in here. So we see his morning ritual of taking various drugs, smoking weed, drinking wild turkey. And all of a sudden he looks right at us, the reader, and says, "Who the fuck are you?" And he realizes he's in a comic book. Here he is like touching the panel border. And he's like, I can't get off the surface of this page. I can't get past it. If only this were a 3D comic. And he puts on these glasses. I like this. It says right eye, left eye, third eye. And then this cute little gremlin saying, aye. Very silly. Oh, look at this beautiful William Stout. Does a little coke science fiction. And I love this here. So he reaches through the panel border to the next panel. But then the character here, which is him in the future, I guess, he says, "Good God, a huge hairy paw coming right for my throat." And he shoots him in the hand. Well, he shoots himself in the hand. And then he's like, I'm bleeding India ink. Here he's like trying to escape. He's trying to push his way out. Sounds like a very bad trip. I love this kind of shit. I always love when comics do this goofy, playing with the format, breaking the fourth wall, sorry. Next we have Fear and Leisure in Las Vegas. This is written by Barry Alfonso and drawn by Bob Foster, the master of mooses. Did all those Moose comics in the 70s, Myron Moose. And this is just such a weird comic. It's kind of like a science fiction, I guess, where it's like hundreds of years in the future, we've turned the planet to shit. The world's just a fucking mess. And except for Las Vegas, which is now called Lost Vegas. And it's basically the last refuge of like civilization. And the guy whose job it is to protect it is Commander Rommel Dude Security. Yeah, it's kind of, once again, it's Hunter S. Thompson. And he's just talking about how much he loves his job. And he's talking about how everyone in Vegas is free to do every kind of decadence that they can imagine. The one problem is that all these Samoans have been trying to invade Las Vegas. And he talks about fighting them with snow machines. I guess Samoans can't take the cold. Very odd. Here we have a nice Marvel Comics pastiche. This is King Fear. And it's basically Hunter S. Thompson as a superhero. He's got 2 pills on his chest. This is a story by Scott Shaw. Pencils by Carl Taylor. I remember seeing that name a lot when I was a kid. I'd order fanzines in the mail. He did all these spot illustrations for fanzines. Like even dinky little fanzines, you know. He'd do a little drawing of Yellow Jacket and the Wasp or something. He did hundreds of those. But the inks are by Bill Wray, which I'm pretty sure that's the best part of this. I don't remember Carl Taylor being that good. He was just kind of like a Marvel hack who just never really worked for Marvel. Oh, the letters are by Carol Leigh. Once again, I guess when Carol Leigh was starting off, she was pals with Scott Shaw and these guys before she started making her own comics. Pretty good pastiche. Looks pretty good. It almost looks like a Marvel comic. And this is just I don't even understand what's going on here. His editor is threatening him about his deadline, which he's blown. And then all of a sudden this guy attacks. That's it. So next we have, this is by the team of Bruce Siegel and, Barry Siegel and Bruce Simon. Siegel writes, Simon draws. These guys did that Lean Years Depression-era comics, underground comic. I looked at it about 6 months ago. They did quite a few underground comics. But very old-timey cartoonists. It's almost like they weren't all about like sex and drugs and rock and roll. They just were trying to tell goofy old comics, you know, like Mutt and Jeff type stuff. And we see Hunter S. Thompson in the jungle. He gets captured by this tribe. And I'll try to ignore the obvious racial, caricature, which isn't that cool anymore. It wasn't cool then. Having said that, the cartoon is pretty nice. I know it's odious that they draw these tribesmen that way, but it's pretty good art. And they're basically going to kill him, but then he gets the upper hand, pulls out his gun, and shoots them. Pretty goofy. Just basically a gag. Now, this we've seen before in At Home with Rick Geary, the collection of Rick Geary comics. It's like one of Rick Geary's earliest comics. You could tell it's him, kind of, but it really doesn't look like him. Like, his style definitely changed over the next year or two after this. And this is just we looked at this already, but it's a great story. And it has nothing to do with Hunter S. Thompson. I almost suspect that they added this just to make it like, oh, it's something that Hunter S. Thompson's thinking about. So it's basically just this great true crime drama where this woman is murdered. There's all these suspects, but everyone's got a good alibi. There's all these false leads, these red herrings, all different evidence, but nothing comes of it. And a decade after the death of this woman, they still haven't found the murderer. But I just love, they're all interesting too, all the false leads and red herrings, all these weird characters in the small town. So Rick Geary's already got his chops down, definitely writing-wise. I mean, this is great looking art. believe me, but he gets way better in just a year or two. Yeah, that looks like Skip Williamson or something. So different. But you can also kind of tell it's him. Of course, the rounded borders is kind of a giveaway. There's a little Hunter S. Thompson skull, I guess, to tie it all together. This one, I don't know what the fuck's going on in the story. This is the weirdest story. It's called Teen Queen Dark Angels. And it's written and drawn, written and drawn by this guy named Patrick Cosgrove. I'm not too familiar with his stuff. Pretty, I guess, well drawn. Kind of weird style, though. I mean, not weird, but I wish it was more weird. Not that into it, but it looks nice. It's not crappy. But, I don't know. Like, Hunter S. Thompson is hanging out with these young women. And, of course, they start doing drugs. They start having all kinds of sexual shenanigans. Making all these dumb jokes. So these lizard women show up. And they start fooling around. I mean, having said that, I like this comic. It's just such a dreamlike, weird comic. Just bizarre. I like this panel here where it looks like they're farting rainbows, but they're just on a cactus. They're sitting on a cactus. But when I was reading it last night, I was like, look, they're flying through the sky through these rainbows coming out of their ass. And then I realized it was a cactus. So they mean more lizard women? Yes, very odd. Very trippy story. So now we have Pills Before Swine. This is, I guess the story is by Scott Shaw, David Scroggie, who went on to be a big power player in the comic book industry, and Roger Friedman. I'm not sure who that is. And the art's by Scott Shaw. And that's just, I love Scott Shaw's cartooning. I've said it before. Just as far as like pure funny animal type fun cartooning. So once again, Hunter S. Thompson's narrating the story. Well, he starts to, but then he's handing it over to Pointer S. Thompson, which is the funny animal version of Hunter S. Thompson, which he appeared in Quack Magazine at least once. And so once again, Scott Shaw just doing the chicken fat. So many little side gags in the background. And it's kind of a typical crazy anecdote by Hunter S. Thompson. Of course, Dr. Bonzo calls him up. That's his name in here. His lawyer. And he says, I got to pick you up. I got you a juicy new assignment from Rodent Stone magazine. We're going to cover the Legionnaires Convention in Philadelphia. And so they go into this convention, and the bartender doesn't know how to make a zombie. And Pointer S. Thompson is that his name? Pointer? Yeah, is really pissed off. So he goes in the kitchen and tries to make his own zombie, putting all this crazy shit in. But then he has no curare. I guess that's an important ingredient. So luckily he happens to be in the Brazilian neighborhood, right outside the back door. So he gets some curare from a street dealer. But while he's doing that, the chef of this hotel grabs that concoction that he was making, the zombie formula, and thinks it's gravy. So he puts it on all the food, and all the Legionnaires just go fucking bonkers. And basically, a lot of them die. And supposedly, this is the origin of Legionnaire's disease. You youngsters might not know about this. It was a huge news story when I was a kid. Some weird disease broke out in a Legionnaire's convention in Philadelphia. That's what it's talking about. And I guess that it was some new disease. So ever since then, it's been called Legionnaire's disease, just because they were the first victims. They were the patient zeros. Pretty fun stuff. This next one is Trauma in Tinsel. And it's Scott Shaw writing and Rich Hoover drawing. And this is, like, so many of these stories, I don't get the connection to Hunter S. Thompson. They're just fun stories. And I guess he's just like the crypt keeper. He's like the host. But I don't know if, like, I haven't read much Hunter S. Thompson, so I wonder, maybe he did do these weird little stories here and there. I don't know. I kind of doubt it, though. So we see this producer slash director. His latest movie, King Kong Meets Kate Smith, is a box office disaster. So he's about to kill himself, jump off out of his window. And this little angel, looking like Hunter S. Thompson, says, listen, bzz, 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 bzz. And basically he gives him the idea to release his unreleased Three Stooges movie, Three Stooges of Fury. So it's a kung fu movie starring the Three Stooges. And it's very successful. This next one is My Greatest Adventure, Showdown in the Sewers. Story, once again, by Barry Alfonso. And guys, art by Dave Stevens. This has got to be one of Dave Stevens' earliest published works. So Hunter S. Thompson is delivering a bunch of absinthe. And something goes wrong with his car. He has to brake really fast. All the absinthe breaks open and ruins his alligator skin seat covers. And this just drives him crazy because he paid a lot of money for it. So he realizes, I got to get some more alligator skins. And of course he's in New York City. So he realizes, hey, there's all those sewer alligators in New York City, as the urban legend goes. First, though, he just tries to shoot at the sign with an alligator on it because he's so zonked out on drugs. He falls into the sewer, finds the sewer gators, and they chase him. And then he comes up with a brilliant idea. And it says, Reptile Farm, $5. And he has all these kids go down there. It's kind of implied that they're going to meet their doom, that these alligators are going to eat them. And now he has enough money to buy all the alligator seat covers he wants. Even as a young man, he had that signature down. This art is so nice. God, I miss Dave Stevens. He's such a good cartoonist. Kind of reminds me like William Stout. I know his style's very different, but just the perfection. Oh, just the great line work. It looks so good to me. Just that face. There's nothing fancy going on there. It's a beautifully drawn face. This one's so weird. This is Larry Todd, the late lamented Larry Todd, Lucky Dog. And so I guess, I think he has other stories about these characters. So it takes place in like this weird alternate reality where certain people, their heads have been put on dog bodies. So we see this guy, Ralphie, he's kind of a sourpuss. I guess Ralphie and this guy, Arnie, they own these little businesses. I think one's a bar and grill, and one's a little restaurant. And Arnie says, okay, I'm going to go hang out with Frank. We're going to try to scare up some business in this part of they're in Las Vegas, by the way. Oh, it says 1996. So that was 20 years in the future, roughly. So Arnie goes to meet Frank, and they're just chatting. These guys just look so weird to me. There's something really bizarro about these characters. And then it's so weird. Frank just says, oh man, I'm totally in heat. And Frank's like, yeah, me too. And so they start humping. Frank starts humping Arnie. I'm sorry, vice versa. Arnie starts humping Frank. This guy interrupts their lovemaking, and he says, hey, I need to talk to you. I'm from this law firm. And basically says, like, you have this aunt or grandmother who died. You get her fortune, her whole fortune, but it can't go to a non-human. You have to be a human to receive this fortune by the will. So we'll promise to pay for the operation and give you a human body, but you have to let us manage the estate. I guess take a percentage, whatever. Always be their agent. So they fly away from Las Vegas onto the space station. I guess in the future it's City of Vegas, Sovereign State of Noavada. I don't know why it's called that. So they give him his body. He's rich now. And then he runs into Arnie. God damn it, sorry. He runs into Frank. Arnie runs into Frank. Arnie has the body now, human body. And he says, you owe me child support. And Frank has got like a wagon full of puppies. So I guess the last time when they did it, Arnie impregnated Frank. And he knows that Arnie's rich now. So he's like, cough up the child support. And Frank is just a total bastard. God damn it. Arnie is such a bastard. He's just like, how do I even know they're mine? He even kicks poor Frank. And so Frank goes back to talk to Ralphie. He's just like, I thought he loved me. But Ralphie has good news. He says, oh, that's okay. I lifted his wallet. And there's plenty of money in here, so we can get shots for your puppies and whatever. All the things you got to do when you buy puppies. Look at this, Larry Todd. Obviously, his love of science fiction comes through. It's by far the best drawn thing in here. The sci-fi plane and the space station. Just a very odd strip. Such a weird sense of humor. I really like it. It just takes you into another place. I realize a lot of the comics in here do that. They're just like, what? Like, just, why would you even write this comic? It's so odd. So this next one is called Terror Vision. This is story and art by Carol A. This might be one of the first Carol A cartoon jobs out there. I guess Scott Shaw helped her out, did the script. It says guidance, so I think he edited it. And it's from an idea by Carl Masek, the animation writer, the guy who wrote all those books about animation. So Hunter S. Thompson is talking about what he would do if he had a television station. And talks about killing Mr. Whipple. And I don't know why. This is the Jeep from Popeye. So he has a game show called Beat the Fear. And health buffs will be able to prepare for the morning rush with jumpin' jack cocaine. Kids will learn about science from Watch Mr. Lizard. Wacky sitcoms like My Car, The Mother. And this obvious Jaws parody here. You'll see the cultish cut-ups of Charlie's Devils. I kind of like that mash-up there. Weird sports shows. The Frying Nun. Who's on LSD? That's a good pun. Next we have Savage Sports. This is art by Mark Schurmeister, who I've never seen, and I'd like to see more of. This is some really fun cartooning. The story and the inks are by Scott Shaw. Once again, letters by Carol A. And these are just, goofy sports. Scuba field ice hockey. Scuba-fied, so it's underwater. Mixing pro football with javelin throwing. These guys are just killing each other on the field. It's pretty dumb, pretty goofy ideas, but man, I like this guy's cartooning a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if he was an animator, because Scott Shaw knew all these animators. So it's probably just a one-time thing. But then again, I don't know. I don't know everything. Maybe he did a lot of comics. This is nice. A Separate Unreality. And this is a story by D. Clark and art by John Pound. Another Scott Shaw pal and a great cartoonist. So Hunter S. Thompson gets called into the offices of Rolling Papers magazine. The editor wants him to interview a Waki Indian. And he's got a dumb punny name. I'll tell you when I see it. But it's a takeoff on Carlos Castaneda, Don Juan, and all that stuff. It's really nice cartooning. All this Bill Elder chicken fat going on. So he meets the Indian, the wacky Indian. Oh, his name's Don Wand. So, basically, Don Wand is going to give him some crazy kind of sacred plant that's like a drug. He's mixing it up in a Kool-Aid jar. And for one page, we get to see Hunter's Toxin tripping balls. Excuse me. Heckle and Jekyll are there commenting on him because he thinks he can fly. Comes down hard right in a cactus. Man, I love this top half page here. Just all these various visions he's having. And he says, oh, my karma coming down on me. We just see like a motorcycle, a monkey, all this crazy shit. Don Wand says, make contact with your animal allies. And we see the Roadrunner and the Wile E. Coyote. And it looks like they're coming after him to eat him. And then Thompson pulls out his gun. This will scare those evil spirits. This will scare him off. It's Casper and Wendy, the good little witch. Just all these random panels. I guess he's tripping hard. I like this like Aztec god. Yeah, excuse me. And then this car pulls up, this cool hot rod. It says, where you heading, pal? San Francisco. This is crazy dinosaur dude. So he makes it back to the offices of Rolling Papers magazine. And he says, how was it, Chief? He says, I don't know, Hunter. Sometimes I think you're living in a separate reality. And it's Don Wand. And the walls of the magazine office disappear and he's back in the desert. Kind of a cool little twist ending, even though it doesn't make sense, but I kind of like it. So next we have Percy, the ice pick poodle. This is just another one, like a total head scratcher. I don't know what the fuck's going on here. This is by a guy named Steve Garris. He goes by Lord Stephen here. Scott Shaw inks it though. Never heard of him before or since. And really, I like it a lot. Good cartooning. Very zany. And it's just about this poodle who goes around with ice picks, killing people, and then he kills Hunter S. Thompson. So odd. Then they have weird little aphorisms in the gutter here. Do you know the 4 spiritual laws? I used to, but I forgot them. Something about man's separation from God. I am God, motherfucker. I don't get it. Very, very weird, but I really like it. I don't quite understand it, but I like it. And then we have a nice kitchen sink did this a lot where they'd have an ad for their upcoming titles, but they'd get the artist of the comic to like. So Scott Shaw makes this nice back cover. Really, this is just an ad for Kitchen Sink's titles, but I'm pretty sure, this is a new illustration. And he makes it look like the famous artist school, the ads that used to be on comic books, almost every comic book for a few years. So there you go, guys. Fear and Laughter. I can't believe the condition I found this in, too. This, the last comic show I went to here in Portland, there was an old hippie guy. It's that kind of dealer you dream about. He literally was saving up underground comics and buying them his whole life. He was older than me. I think he was like in his mid to late 60s, maybe even 70. And he was just sitting there behind the table, and his prices were it was pretty expensive, his stuff. But everything was impeccable condition because he really must have loved undergrounds. He was probably buying them off the head shops, racks, and kept them really nice. I wish I had more money to buy more. I got like 4 comics from him, things I wanted for a long time. But I just can't believe how nice the condition is, how he kept them. So, yeah, I paid probably a little too much for this, but then again, I rarely spend more than $10 on a comic ever in my whole life. So I think I almost paid $10 for this, $8 to $10, something like that. But I think it's worth it. This is a great underground Just a really weird, fascinating, well-drawn stuff going on. Strangely enough, most of the artists in here aren't really underground cartoonists per se, for the most part. They're guys from, other things. Scott Shaw was always kind of ground level. And I guess we got John Pound, and we got Larry Todd, and William Stout, of course. But William Stout did all other things too. Okay, I think I'm rambling. Just really glad to show this off to you guys. Really glad to finally find it. And I hope you enjoyed looking at it as much as I enjoyed flipping through it. And I hope to see you next time here at the Herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies.